but today I'm back with two of my colleagues who are specialized in AI related applications. So, you get to know about their backstories and what do they do in their daily work. So let's get into it. So as Siddhant is excited enough, let's start with Siddhant only. Hey Siddhant, tell us about yourself, what you are working these days, and let's start from how you got into IT itself, and then how did you get into the AI?
Yeah, so like you have pretty much said all about me, what I do and what I work on at Middleware. So I'm currently helping them build the text to AI tool. So like text to query tool where any user can just query regarding whatever metrics that they want to search for. Some of it is out, some of it is still in like pipeline, and yeah, we are really excited for it. I never really wanted to do this, not as in the podcast. Never really wanted to get into AI as such or computer engineering for the matter. I actually wanted to become a physicist. So ever since I was in my standard 9th, 10th, I was rigorously studying physics. So I had derivations of equations of time dilation and length contraction derived on my own in my 11th standard. And I was especially attracted to quantum mechanics, so I studied it a lot. In fact, if you see in Feynman's lectures of physics is always on my desk. I randomly read it anytime I feel like. Uh, but like in India, you rarely decide your career. Your parents do it most of the times. So I was forced into kind of pursuing engineering from my whole family. So not just my parents, but my whole extended family as well. Uh, so I chose a college which kind of gave me the liberty to do some kind of research. So I chose Institute of Advanced Research, IAR, where I met Dr. Gurudat Gaur. So he was a physicist and he had worked on Indigo project, which was the Indian branch for LIGO, the gravitational wave observatory. So uh, I pretty much went into his office, passed into his office, and I introduced myself and showed him my interest regarding these things. So I showed him my notebooks and everything. And he said, okay, let's do something cool. So I'll give you exercises, you do those exercises. Little did I know that he's kind of nudging me towards this field of AI. So the first problem that he gave me was to code, least square fitting in C. So least square fitting is basically linear regression. So in statistical terms, you call it least square fitting, but when you use that to kind of build linear regression models. So that was the first time, and I really, really enjoyed it because I had to derive everything from scratch. So, I had to find the minima, calculate their derivatives, and then represent them in simple terms of addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. So I coded that formula and I kind of coded it from scratch and put it on GitHub. So that's how my journey began into AI. Slowly, I started participating in hackathons, build a lot of cool stuff. Yeah.
So, first full-time job that you are doing, to do something else.
No. This is like my third full time job. So before this, I was a software scientist at a company called Privatas. So really cool company. They build cool stuff. So I kind of worked both in a backend role and in AI role as well. We'll talk about it in.
Sure, sure. Okay, then let's move to our next guest, Param. So tell us about yourself. For Siddhant, I already heard the story, so I knew a bit about it, but for Param, it's a surprise for me as well. So let's hear it up.
Can I just say one thing? So me and Param Bhai would have studied in the same college if we had. So he kind of came to my college to, check it out. So we would have been juniors and seniors. And if we would have met at that time, I think we would have rocked the world.
Okay, then what happened? You didn't
Yeah,
like the college?
that's hits.
Okay, okay,
Okay, so first of all, thank you, Keval Bhai, for having us. I really enjoyed your podcast. One of two of them, I really listened to it when I was joining Middleware. Yeah, so for my story, uh, basically, I studied at Marwad University. So Keval Bhai is actually senior to me. We shared the same university, and yeah, I was studied in ICT, Information and Communication Technology. So the stream has combination of IT and EC. So for initial first few semester, I was more interested towards electronics and communication stuff, wherein building stuff with Arduino, Raspberry Pi, different processors, right? And after that, I was introduced to one or two internships where there was some sort of interest regarding machine learning and software side of the things, right? And what I believe is during my final year, uh, so one of my mentor, he used to work as a machine learning engineer, and out of college we get influenced for some of the domain area, right? So at that time, machine learning and artificial intelligence was booming. So with the some flavor of what you can say internship, I really jumped on the machine learning stuff. Then after fifth semester, we used to have some of the electives regarding machine learning, data science, those stuff. So there I got a chance to learn statistical analysis stuff, then the proper machine learning. Then we all have gone through the Andrew Ng's machine learning course. After that, we got introduced to deep learning courses, right? So that's how it began. In my first job, I was working as a machine learning engineer. Mostly we were working on the computer vision projects. So at that time was surrounded by good peers, those who were really interested in building the stuff regarding AI. So that was really great exposure for me. After that, I switched to a San Francisco based startup where I just worked for a couple of months, but that was pretty much challenging and good role for me as well. And then I moved back to middleware. So yeah, that's how it started.
Okay. So Siddhant, instead of being your senior, he chose to be my junior instead. Okay, so we three of us were planning to do this podcast for a while. We because all of us are having different timings, different schedules. We couldn't make it so far. But why I chose to do this on the AI topic is because we, as an observability platform, are building solutions that can observe AI-related projects. And on the other hand, we also use AI as a consumer, like we do use ChatGPT, Cloud AI, and many other things in our day-to-day life. Yesterday, luckily, when I was reading magazine, I came across this article, which was about Jeffrey Hinton, who is supposedly called the godfather of AI because he added some added the concept of multiple layers in the neural network, and then you can have the back propagation and everything. And in that article, the first paragraph mentioned that this year both the Nobel prizes in the physics and chemistry was also given to something which is AI related. So AI is something that is pretty much in the market right now. I was talking to a friend yesterday that I am going to do this podcast with two of my friends. So she's in biology, and she said that in our field also we have that AI related tool that can identify the genomes. And earlier, what process used to took 5 years, now it just takes 1 year, and it
Vega.
is much easier to solve the medical any new diseases or identify the correct solution.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think AI is pretty much everywhere. So it's the right time for us to do this conversation. So we pretty much covered how Siddhant and Param got into AI and how we are all working together at the same place at Middleware. Now, next thing I want to know from you guys is what are the tools that you guys use day to day or something that you build around AI? Let's get a bit more technical about what do we do in AI.
Yeah.
Yes, Siddhant, I think you can lead the way.
Yeah. So, like, for now, Hugging Face is our best friend. we use Hugging Face a lot, and so the models that we use are pretty much open source. So we use Hugging Face for
Mhm. So can you
getting
also
the
tell us
models.
what Hugging Face is? Because I am also a bit less familiar, and
Yeah.
audience might also.
Yeah. To put it in form of an analogy, Hugging Face is like GitHub for AI, and much more than that as well. So what Hugging Face does is it is a platform where you can host your models in their spaces, and it is also a repository where you can store multiple versions of your model. You can share your model weights there. It also provides a set of libraries that really help you to create pipelines around models, not just create pipelines around models, but also fine tune them, really create efficient inference pipelines. So accelerate the inference of those models. So Hugging Face is like the platform for large language models for the time being. There are many other players, but Hugging Face is like the all-in-one solution for almost everything. And they have a great learning resource as well. So they have wonderful blogs around ML papers and their implementations. So it is like the go-to platform if you want to get started with LLMs.
Okay. So that's what you use to in your daily work. Like once you do a good amount of model training and you save it on Hugging Face. Is that,
We do not save our model on Hugging Face as of now. So currently we have not fine tuned the model because we did not see the need for it. Because as you know that the data that we are training on, it might change rapidly. So
Mhm.
various new parameters might be introduced, various new metrics might be introduced as we keep on making integrations. Our query structure might change if we make any change to the internal tools that we use to generate query.
Mhm.
So in this case, we kind of thought that okay, fine tuning the model does not make sense. So we basically use Hugging Face because it has a nice, repository of embedding tools. So embedding models.
Mhm.
So we choose our embedding models from Hugging Face. We use the Hugging Face sentence transformer library to create embeddings, create our embeddings, basically. And embeddings kind of make the 70% of the things that we do. And then the second tool that we use quite a lot these days is Grok.
Mhm.
So Grok is a new startup. It is kind of a hardware-based startup which has created a new chip for LLM inference. So their primary focus is to create LPUs, language processing units. These language processing units make the LLM inference really, really fast. Because GPU, if you see, GPU was not designed for machine learning per se. It was originally designed for graphical processing. So to render videos really fast for game agents and those kind of things. But it had a really good usage in machine learning, especially deep learning, because it was mostly matrix multiplication and there were operations which could be parallelized. So that is why it was used mostly. But it was not specific to this LLMs. And LPUs are kind of designed for this specific kind of architecture of large language model, which is transformers, which contains of a lot of feed forward networks, which contains like internal matrix multiplications, and it does those matrix multiplications and additions really fast.
So just to give you some context to the audience, at Middleware we are building this feature called text to query. So where what you can do is we collect a bunch of metrics, traces, and logs kind of data. And if you want to query those data, usually what you would do is you will write a SQL query or whichever database we are using. You will do the queries. But instead of that, to make the user experience easier, what we have done is we allow users to type a query which can be written in natural language, like however you type in English or your preferred language, and then it will be converted behind the scenes. It will be converted into SQL query language, and then uh, that solution will be used by Param to uh, connect that LLM model with our main project. So, Param, would you like to add how you use the solution shared by Siddhant?
Yeah. So basically, how we started building this feature or product is like our CEO Laduram sir used to tell us that we have this search filter, a legacy thing since decade or 2 decade now for on all the observability platform, right? But how we can provide a value to customer where they can just like how they communicate with the fellow developers or DevOps or SREs, the same way they can filter out their data on our platform. So that was the inception of the idea, and from there we tried to build a tool which can be used for a user to query their data easily, just like typing the natural language queries, and they can get the output without having to share their uh, organization data to LLM. So that's the beauty, right? Nowadays I mean, all the companies don't want to share their logs or even any kind of metric data to LLM or out of their system. So that's the most important thing. Yeah, so basically in middleware, for now, the time we are recording this podcast, we have integrated text to query for infrastructure, so mainly for metrics and logs. And now coming upcoming thing will be attached to traces and rum as well. So basically, whatever the query a user has, which cannot be filtered out easily with the query bar, you can just type it out in simple English, plain English, provided the right context of it, you will get the desired output. So basically, if you want to get give me a host which has CPU utilization of greater than 80%, or maybe um, which pod is crashing too much, right? So this type of simple question or maybe complex filtered question can be answered through this.
Yes, okay, that sounds good. So you guys are using these tools that you guys just mentioned for doing the development. So how do you guys
Mhm.
stay updated with what is coming new to the market, and what is the best tool that you guys can leverage? So any sources you read, or any platforms that you follow that our users can maybe like
Mhm.
one is like Hugging Face. So those platforms can be helpful for whoever is planning to join AI in upcoming.
So let me go first, Siddhant. So nowadays it is more about the community, right? What we are seeing and observing all around the AI is just because of the community.
Mhm.
So there are a lot of community Discord servers you can find out through probably a famous YouTubers or maybe
Mhm.
research scientists. When I was learning machine learning, I used to read few of the research papers. There was also a site, Code with Paper, which
Papers with
has
code. Yeah.
papers with code. Yeah. So all the papers which researchers has write, they have the code implementation, right? Then I would say GitHub. Browsing through GitHub is very useful for finding application layer of AI side of the things. So, and I mean, people have open source so many things which are highly efficient using on GPU or CPU as well, right? So those are the thing. Another thing, I when I joined machine learning part, I used to follow some of the people from Kaggle is also another,
Hmm.
you can say, code chef or lead code kind of thing for AI engineers. So they have some of the competitions coming up. Every machine learning engineer or data scientist can come up with their solution and provide their notebook. So they do have great notebooks, great solutions around few of the challenging problems. And yeah, there are few of the amazing data scientists as well, and AI researchers as well. So, and I see there is a lot of newsletters coming out during this time regarding a different segment of the AI. So basically, there are Alpha Signals, which is very famous newsletter. They do have some good articles on AI, NLP, and the computer vision. So those are the things I usually follow, and the tech Twitter community. That's really amazing.
Yeah.
I think there is a lot to follow, so we'll put
Yeah.
the links in the description. I'll collect
Yeah.
from you guys. Siddhant, you want to add anything?
Yeah, for me, it has been mostly Twitter, and I kind of have signed up to a lot of these products. So, anytime like Claude or OpenAI, they make something big, I kind of have signed on to the newsletter. I get the newsletter, I read through it. And mostly I also like papers with code is also one of my go-to resources. So mostly new paper implementations will be available within 2-3 weeks because someone would always try to implement. Most of the times, it's the researchers themselves who also provide implementations and the GitHub for these kind of things.
But anybody who is willing to learn LLM stuff or want to learn GenAI stuff, I would really recommend a cookbook from OpenAI. So
Yeah,
they do have amazing cookbook where they have implemented some small to large concepts with
yeah,
respect to real sort of application.
yeah.
So those will be really interesting to read and implement as well.
There is also LangChain. So LangChain has some good implementations, but what I would recommend enthusiasts is to not use LangChain to implement them. So look at the projects on LangChain and just implement them using pure Python, maybe Hugging Face to run the inference and those kind of things.
So, so there are so many references, right? So how do you divide your day into learning versus implementing? So do you guys invest like 30-40% of your day following up these things, and rest of the what is the ratio?
So, like, can I go first? Yeah. So, for me, I have to travel 2 hours every day
Mhm.
in the morning and in the evening. So, I utilize that time to kind of stay updated and read through stuff, maybe watch a video explaining the stuff to me. And mostly, like, during the night, 1 or 2 hours I spend on learning and building new stuff. So,
Into the lunch breaks as well, like Siddhant is continuously scrolling Twitters, and he's showing me that this is a new article that is coming up, this is a new thing.
yeah.
And I just pretend like, yeah, I have read it in the morning. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
Param?
Yeah, but it is pretty hard to catch up on the all things which are
Mm.
going around you. So what I usually do is I try to go through my email where I received newsletters.
Mhm.
So I try to just see around what is interesting coming up and what I can try out.
Mhm.
So even if something is interesting, I would probably try out on my weekend days and probably build something around it.
Okay, okay, great. So let's jump on to the next thing. So as in the middleware product, we are doing two things around AI. One is we are doing observability with AI, and another thing is we are doing AI observability itself. So
Hmm.
the part we discussed earlier about where we do text to query, so that was about how we take advantage of AI to observe any regular projects that people might be running. But there are also AI related projects that are live now, and people also want to observe those projects. And there are open source tools like Traceloop and OpenLead that allow to create open telemetry based data for those applications, and we also do support them via our APIs. So so do you guys want to add anything on that part, on those two different use cases?
So for what I would say is traditional machine learning and data science project would be segmented in two different phases.
Mhm.
One is regarding the training and inferencing stuff, and other thing is serving them on the production side,
Mhm.
right? So serving them on the production side, anybody could use any kind of APM or probably telemetry data to have observe on that those terms. Other than that, for the inferencing part, we do have a few of the APMs or libraries which can give us the data regarding how it is executed, how much time it is taking, and everything around it, right? And now the new era has come up with the Gen AI stuff, right? So for that, middleware has built observability around it, right? So every LLM call you make, you get data for how much token it has taken, how much time it is taking, what kind of model you are using, and what was the output from the model itself. So in a way you get an idea for how your system and each and every prompt of your system is performing, right? So that's the observability for AI. And observability with AI, there is a lot of thing that we can do. So
Yeah.
for an instance, just now we have introduced text to query. We do have another project as log anomaly detection, and I see some of the observability platforms started implementing this anomaly detection for metrics and logs as well. So in logs part, it is slightly, I would say, challenging to predict anomalies as it is purely a text-based data. But in metric side of the things, it is very easy as we do have numerical prediction data. So those are the things I see coming up for AI observability with AI, right?
Siddhant, anything?
Yeah, same as like Parambai mentioned. So, in fact, we ourselves use the tool that we have built. So, the LLM observability tool for monitoring our own like text to query service. And it has been really helpful. So, it kind of opens new doors for you for explainable AI. So, you can actually see the prompts and the responses that it created. So, you can track everything through it. So the number of tokens, the pricing, you can see, okay, the vector database queries that you are getting. So did you get the relevant results or not? Was the output generated? So at which part? So if you see our tool, then it is not just one tool that we are using to build this stuff. So it is kind of a chain of different processes. So it's not like we give the query and the we give the natural language a question and the query gets generated. There are a lot of things that happen in between. So there are 4 or 5 different stuffs where we infer from 4 or 5 different models. There are a lot of things underneath. So to actually understand, okay, where things are breaking, this tool has been really helpful for us. So you can actually track everything down to the last token that it generated. And it's great. Second thing regarding the using AI for observability. So I think middleware has taken a great step by solving the hard challenges first. So there are a lot of things that we can do using Gen AI for observability. A lot of those challenges can be solved simply, but the challenges that we have picked up are the hardest one to solve, but also the most valuable ones to solve. So yeah, this is great, and I think that going forward we will be introducing a lot of cool tools that would really leverage AI to fullest for observability.
Yeah, I think that's a great strategy. I think along with
Yeah,
Siddhant, we also have one another AI engineer in our team,
yeah,
Bajrang. We couldn't call him on this particular podcast, but in future we'll also have him. So, so yeah, great stuff so far. One thing uh, that people are worried about with AI is that AI has been affecting jobs of existing not only regular workers but also of IT engineers themselves.
yeah.
So last year there was a boom of last year, or I guess a few months back only, the dev in AI, where people that turned out to be false positive, but somehow people were thinking that all the IT engineers will lose the job and this AI will do all the work. But in near future, it does not sound impossible. That can be a case. So what should IT engineers do? Uh, like, should they move in a particular direction, learning AI related stuff to stay safe, or what is the scenario here?
I would say it is opening up a really interesting roles in upcoming futures, right? So what we used to have is like traditional system where we have a back end and a front end, where we used to write some sort of backend APIs to communicate with front ends. Those things will be get automated through AI, right? There was a time a year ago I used to see backend as a service or backend as a platform booming a lot in the market, just like SaaS, right? And those like those term, I would say, uh, people should really learn how things work internally. That way they will have more interesting and challenging roles in the future. But AI is not gonna take their job in near future for sure. AGI is yet to come, but yeah, you can definitely leverage the idea of AI and improve your efficiency while your regular day-to-day work. It gives a developer and greater edge for their intuitive thinking and different perspective to their development, right? So that's how it grows.
Yes, it is.
So during the early ages of industrial revolution, when machines were being made for, you know, producing mass number of goods, everybody thought that jobs will be lost. So there is always a dip. Whenever a new technology comes in that revolutionizes the stuff, there is always a dip. But that dip is because people are not prepared for, you know, being multidimensional and accepting new responsibilities, new roles, those kind of things. So don't look at AI as something that will take over your job, because there will be other jobs that we will be doing apart from. So there will be creative jobs that we could be doing. Where, like, AI can build stuff, but who will tell AI to build stuff? So there will be a dip. We are seeing a dip, but that would kind of be,
Yeah. That will be
yeah,
migration delay
yeah,
mostly.
that would be kind of the alarm that says, okay,
Mhm.
buddy, time to move on to the next role.
I see.
Okay, for everybody who is so right now we are kind of thinking AI as we're kind of making it synonymous to magic, and we are having a lot of big expectations from it. But if you see that, then it is not there yet to become AGI per se. So there are still a lot of limitations that would have to go through to actually become. So there are a few things that I would suggest. So first is look into the Arc Challenge, and there is a Lex Friedman podcast with the creator of Arc Challenge. I'll share it with you for later. And the second thing, Devin was proved to be an hoax, that it was not, like, it was a big marketing gimmick if you see. But there is another cool tool, AI tool, which is Cursor. So if you see, people are saying Cursor will take a lot of jobs. But I'd also encourage viewers to, like, watch the podcast with the founders of Cursor, again with Lex Friedman. It is a highly technical podcast, but yeah, if you watch the initial 15 20 minutes, it will be enough for anyone who is not familiar with, like, AI a lot in depth. But it will be familiar to let you know that, okay, it is not really going to affect as much as people are thinking it might. So Copilot has been there since like last 5 years. Nobody has been replaced by Copilot, but everybody is kind of using Copilot for their productivity. So it is just that it will help us ship products fast and ensure that we write good code, kind of. So it will kind of help you make your things faster. I'm still skeptical about the good code part. It might or might not. It might even make it worse. I personally do not use these tools. So, like, Copilot or Cursor, etc. I do use Claude or GPT for brainstorming and, thinking out loud. But what I have seen so far is using these tools, instead of making me more productive and fast, it kind of slows me down when I have to debug something. Because you have written the logic on your own, you kind of have the idea of, okay, where is what. But if I just do tap tap tap, I have no idea what I have done, and it kind of slows me down. So yeah.
And also, I think very few people talk about how we have come to this era of AI.
Hmm.
So there is a lot has gone behind the scenes with respect to storage, computational. What we see, silicon chips now is has played a big and a huge role for AI development, right? We do not had this power of really amazing computation probably a decade ago.
Yeah. And CUDA.
So yeah, yeah.
And CUDA.
So all these chipset development and engineering side of the things are, I mean, very few people discuss about it, but
Right.
those are really interesting, and those are the things which has opened up the path for it.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. Many AI engineers also mentioned that theoretically they had the models ready, in their books or in their research papers, but it took them a while because they were waiting for hardware to be
Yeah.
strong
Hmm.
to match their algorithm.
Even now, building the models is the easy part. The hardest part is to
Serving them to the millions.
make it consumable by the mass.
Mhm.
So because they are really resource intensive
Mhm.
stuff.
I see.
Yeah.
I read this fun fact that our brains have this 100 trillion connections, and comparatively, ChatGPT or similar level of AI tools have only half a trillion of connections, but still it can make better decision, I would say IQ related stuff, just because their model is trained better. So with number of connections, how the model is trained is also something.
And they do not have to support 500 different vital organs to help them make decisions, control over the synapses and all those things to for your motor movement. And
Yeah,
so
completely. They don't have to operate the eyes and nose and mouth and all this stuff.
exactly.
They just need the brain part.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have planned a tier maker session just after this, but a last fun question for you guys. So we may have seen in many of the movies that AI takes over the world, like in the movies like Matrix or Ex Machina. So many people who have reached as a at a particular level, like Elon Musk or Jeffrey Hinton, that kind of guys will have opinions on should we be careful with AI and that will take over the world. So what's your stand on what may happen with AI
Sw-
if AI goes wrong?
Switch off the plug.
Yeah.
So for every, I remember the dialogue. With great power comes with great responsibility, right? So, uh, I think every governance has to introduce some
Yeah.
sort of guidelines around AI. So every technology is two side of the things. It can be used for a good purpose and bad purpose as well, right? And we have seen a lot of bad thing going with deep fake and such tech tools technologies. Those has done something really impacted large audience in a bad way, right? So AI with what you can say some proper guideline, at what extent you want to give a decision power to it, at what extent you want to use it is very important. And I think every leading organization and governance would need to probably introduce some sort of bodies or uh, their team for such things.